So welcome back, you guys, to my IGTV. I'm pretty excited about this one today. Today, my one of my special gifts in life is here to talk about something really important. So if you've followed my social media long enough, then you know that I've taken special concern to discuss the matter of ADHD and Tourettes syndrome involving my son. But I thought it was really important to include him in the conversation so you guys can get a first-hand look at how he feels and not just how mom feels. So Jelani, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, as you know, my name is Jelani. This is my mom, one of the best moms in the world. Also, one of my favorite hobbies to do is reading. So,
He reads a lot, to the point when there's no books available. He'll read a label on the box, cereal box. We even sometimes have to discipline him by taking away books, which really is an awkward thing to discipline a kid with, but that's how much he loves reading. So what is your favorite subject in school?
My favorite subject in school, I would say science. Well, I have two favorite subjects, actually. Science and reading.
Okay, we know. We got the reading part. What are some of your favorite things to do? What are some of your favorite interests?
Video games. Besides reading, yeah, video games, that's all.
Do you have any interest in something else, like, oh, I don't know, technology?
That's technology. I like my computer. My dad said that maybe we'll put together a computer one day. Still waiting on that.
It'll happen. It may take a little bit, but it will happen. So now that we've gotten a little bit of information from you, how old are you?
10.
10, you guys. He's 10. So
Going on 11 this year.
Yes, absolutely going on 11 this year. My dad is also somewhere in the background being nosy. It's just my family. So anyway, we're going to get right down into it. So Jelani, you were probably about 7 when we first recognized that you had ADHD. Now, for those who don't know, the acronym ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. So, in a nutshell, right, it means lots of excess energy, lots of fidgeting movements, but it's a little bit more than that. As we've come to learn through this process, it also affects other areas of his life, such as his memory, being able to maintain direction, being able to remember a task that he's been set out to do, even remembering things that he should be accomplishing on a day-to-day basis, he can easily forget. So, Jelani, can you tell us a little bit about what that was like as a kid, you know, when you were younger? I mean, you're still a kid. And feeling like, I know you feeling like you were constantly getting in trouble because we were like, what are you doing? You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. How was that for you? How was it not being able to explain what was going on in your brain?
I mean, I was kind of mad about it because, like, I was kind of frustrated. I didn't know what was going on. But also, it kind of let me know, like, there's something going on with me. And it was nice to know that my parents kind of figured it out later on and that they were kind of able to help me more.
Okay. So, yeah, we didn't know in the beginning. You know what I mean? So, we were probably not the best examples of what you should do when your child has ADHD, but we honestly didn't know that there were problems. It took some observation. I had always known since he was probably about 4 or 5 that he was a really hyper kid, but, you know, they don't diagnose ADHD that young. And I just kind of assumed, like, you know, I was a hyper kid, so I just figured, you know, he just was bouncing off the walls and was just into what he was into. And it turns out it was something a little bit more. But then probably around the time he was 8, we began to notice that he was making some noises that were a little bit strange. We'll start with the whistling. So, Jelani, tell me about how the whistle manifestation came about for you.
Well, I was in 3rd grade and, like, I just learned how to whistle. So, you know, like, I figured it was probably just, you know, one of my little things trying to figure out how it worked. But in class, like, some kids started bothering me about it, and I like, honestly, I didn't even know that I was realizing that I was doing it. So, like, when they addressed it, I was like, what do you mean? I'm not doing anything. And like when I was going home, like my parents started noticing it, so then they started wondering like if it was just me being me or if it was something else wrong with me.
Right. So you guys, you gotta imagine what that's like to all of a sudden your kid's talking and he's whistling after everything he's saying. And honestly, there was no rhyme or reason that we knew of at first. It would just happen in between a sentence, at the end of a word, quiet, silently, you name it, it was happening. But he was also fidgeting with his hands a lot, doing different things. He had a head motion that he would do. And then those whistles turned into other noises. And over the last 2 years, we've seen several different tics, and sometimes all of them all at once. And it was probably about 2 years ago that we did get the actual diagnosis of Tourette's syndrome. Now, ipso facto, Tourette's syndrome and ADHD are very common in combination, meaning it's not uncommon to find a child who has Tourette's syndrome who doesn't have ADHD. In fact, they have had several discussions about whether he's on the spectrum or not. And for those who don't know, on the spectrum is autism. And if you know anything about autism, then you know that it is varying from low functioning to very high functioning. He obviously would be considered high functioning. They had some thoughts that he might have Asperger's, which changes his ability to socially interact with people and catching social cues, dealing with anxiety and depression. And that is a lot for a kid his age. And I personally, I have to say, watching him it's awesome and inspiring to see him overcome what he does, because it helps me feel like I can overcome the things that I go through. If you guys watch my page long enough, you know I'm dealing with chronic illness right now, but he's such a resilient kid. And no matter how many times we have setbacks, he just keeps going. So we're learning a rhythm, I think, right now, trying to figure out what helps us to help him. And we're really letting him take the lead in that conversation. We're asking him, what things help you? Jelani, tell me, what are some of your goals with all of this? Like, what's the biggest thing you want to accomplish while dealing with this?
Well, one of the biggest things I want to accomplish, I want to be like my dad. He's an IT worker, and he's into tech. And like since I'm really into technology, I would want to do that, or at least become some sort of technology teacher of some sort. So like through all of this, it's I'm kind of more surprised that I'm able to do a lot of things, even though I'm going through all of this. And it's really inspiring to me, and also to my mom.
It is, and to his dad, and to the people around him. So, Jelani, we have about 2 minutes, so we're going to wrap this up really quickly. But I want to ask you, what helps you keep going despite the challenges and obstacles you face? Because obviously some of this stuff affects your schoolwork, your interactions with your teacher, and your classmates. And you're obviously self-aware, so you know that you do have differences from other kids. It's a conversation we've had. How do you, what helps you keep going?
Well, what helps me keep going is that, like, I know that in the end, it's not going to really matter, because I'll still be me. I'll still be Jelani.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it doesn't even really bother me that much, unless, like, when it comes to the school environment, it annoys me because, other people are bothering me about it, and there's nothing I can really do about it. But besides that, it's also good to know that most of the time, it's going to fade off when I get older, so it's not going to be noticeable as much.
Got it. So, you guys, we do have to wrap up. This is only a 10-minute video as per IGTV, but thank you guys so much for tuning in to get a little bit of a conversation with my great guy here, Jelani. Keep up with what he's got going on. He now has an Instagram page, ultra_beast mode. And, of course, we're going to follow the journey as I continue to blog about what life is like with ADHD and Tourette's syndrome and watching him grow up and me being the parent who is going through it with him. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.